Hello, my name is Amy Prokopis. I am an author of young adult novels like the science fiction novel, The Arena, which is right here on my bookshelf. My second book, my young adult urban fantasy series, Guardians of the Sixth Gate, comes out on Halloween, so October 31st of this year. So thank you so much for those of you who are new, and welcome back to my followers here on YouTube that have been watching these videos. So it is the beginning of September, actually. I'm a little late getting to this video, but here we are. So every month, those of you who've been following me a while know, every month I do a kind of like a wrap up of how the month went, because I set goals for 3 areas of my life that I think are very important, just like to me personally, emotionally. They're things that I do for myself and not for anybody else. Those 3 things are reading, writing, and running. So August was a little bit of a rough month. If you watched my July wrap up, you already know I've been struggling a little bit with my mental health. August was the month that I started to tackle that with myself, with my therapist, and a doctor even. So we will get into that here in a minute, but we are going to focus primarily on those 3 goals. And also, because I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon the last couple months, I'm also going to talk about what I'm doing differently and the goals I have set going into September. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. So let's go ahead and start with reading. I only read 1 book for the entire month of August. I am continuing my journey of getting through all of Sarah Sutton's backlist. So her previous series, I'm going to get to her Christmas book at some point as well, and then to the start of this new series, which just came out, which is Teaching Teacher's Pet. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited for it. But this month I only read 1 of those because I was focusing on my other goals and also just taking time for myself and self-care. So I only got to 1 of those books. And that book is Two Kinds of Us. And I really enjoyed it. It's super sweet. I've said in the past, and as I've recommended Sarah Sutton books to all of my friends and anyone I run into, actually, I've been describing her books, especially this series, Love in Fenton County. I've been describing it as like a really good Hallmark movie. So think all the feels that you get from watching Hallmark transformed into book form for young adults, and that would be like anything by Sarah Sutton that I've read so far. So I'm really enjoying it. It's been like an escape for me, which is why I picked up her stuff in the first place. I've always wanted to read Sarah Sutton's books because I've talked with her in the past. I consider her kind of like a colleague. We both write similar-ish things. I primarily write fantasy and science fiction, but I always have a vein of romance through them. And we're both here on YouTube. So I've had really great conversations with her as I read these books even, and then before, because she's been on my podcast, the series I did over the summer, Wednesdays with Writers. She was the very last author that I talked with. So I'm really enjoying getting through her series, and it's been a great escape, especially as I'm focusing on my mental health more. I needed like a light, fluffy read, something that didn't have super heavy themes. And while some of her books do carry some heavy themes, like the one that I just started at the beginning of this month, oh no, why can't I remember? It'll come to me. So even though some of them do carry some like heavier themes, like grief, for instance, they are still really light and fluffy. So they truly have been an escape for me. So if you're looking for that kind of a read, these are amazing, and they're romance. So if you're into romance, I highly recommend anything by Sarah Sutton. So I only read the 1 book this month. Usually I average 2 to 3. But this month, like I said, I was focusing on some other things like myself. So I didn't quite get to 2 books, and that was perfectly fine. I read a little bit as I had time, mostly on Mondays. And it was a nice break to take things a little slow this month. So that was reading for me. So, like I said, I've been taking things a little bit slow. So, for the month of August for running, I did start to get back to running. I haven't really set any kind of routine. It's really just been as I've had the time, especially as I've gone back to my normal work schedule. That's kind of helped to set the time. But for the month of August, I only ran 2.5 miles for the whole month, which is perfectly fine. They were a really good 2.5 miles. I'm actually in better shape than I thought I was because it was an easy run, not too strenuous at all doing those. And it was more than one run. It was not just the 2.5 miles in one go. It's been a couple runs. So that has been nice. I do plan on getting back into more of that in September because I'm missing it. I'm not going to try and like push myself to set a routine quite yet. I think as the weather gets cooler, it'll make it a lot easier for me to do that because right now I'm up against like childcare. I run on my treadmill when it's really, really hot and really, really cold, and it's really hot right now. So I have to run on my treadmill, which means that I can't really leave Finn just alone in the house while I'm out in the garage on the treadmill. It'd probably be okay if I check, because I'm not running really far right now. So it'd only be like 10 minutes at a time, and I could take short breaks and like peek in at him. So I could do that. But for the time being, since I'm slowly getting back into it, I haven't been pushing myself too much to like get out there and run with the weather the way that it is. So as it cools down and I can take him with me, which is what I really like to do. I love going on runs with Finn because he loves being outside also. So as things cool off, I will probably get back to running more in September. But that was it. So for all of August, it was 2.5 miles, and I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about writing, which is probably the part of August that went the best. So in August, I was focusing on myself and I was really wanting to keep to writing. And so I set a schedule, but I pulled back on the volume of that schedule from what I was used to over the summer. So I found that consistently I can write every afternoon on Saturdays and Sundays. And so I told myself I would write Saturdays and Sundays, and for now, only then. So I didn't write it all during the week. It started out that was just the time I had. And then after about a week, I think in August of doing that schedule, I decided to utilize the time I had off during the weeks truly for like leisure, for just myself, take some time for myself, some self-care, and not focus on anything related to writing, just because I have tendencies, especially as I was going through the summer, to focus on the word count and how much I was getting done and how much I wasn't getting done as a result. So I only wrote on Saturdays and Sundays, and I found that they were really productive sessions because I had all this stuff built up that like sitting down to do it was refreshing. And so I'm getting a whole lot done in those sessions. Probably just about as much as if I had tried to push myself to write during the week as well. So I'm going to stick to that schedule going into September and continue writing, especially on the weekends, maybe include one during the week if I feel up to it. So I'm writing a bit more by feel, and that's the only schedule I have for writing is weekends. And the writing I'm doing, I'm working on the sequel to Guardians of the Sixth Gate. So that'll be book 2. In that series, I'm planning 3 books, and I do have kind of a spinoff in the works, and the spinoff comes in part from a certain somebody that's in this sequel. So it's been super fun to write on it. I really love this book and some of the problems that come up in it. So that's what I've been working on, and that's how writing's been going. I'm also starting in the month of September. My cover designer, she starts on Monday, on Labor Day. So I'm super, super excited to get started with her. So as far as work on Guardians of the Sixth Gate, most of that has been a little bit on pause. I've done some promotion work. I think that I have a book signing scheduled in my area, so be on the lookout if you are in Oklahoma, especially. I think I have a book signing scheduled I think it'll be the month after the release, so sometime November. So if you're interested in getting to a book event and maybe getting a signed copy, you can do that in November. I'm hoping. I still need to nail down final details, but that's the kind of work I've been doing for Guardians of the Sixth Gate in the meantime. In September, things will amp up a little bit because I'll have the cover work, getting that collaboration done. Once the cover work is done, I'm going to finalize the style of the interior. I've done the interior of the book already, but I don't have, what I need to adjust is the style. So things like the chapter headers, I want to make sure that the font used in the chapter headers and such matches the style of the cover as well. So those will be really easy changes. I may go back through one more time and click through just to make sure nothing funky stands out as well. Not really like an edit so much as a style edit thing, like an interior editing. So that's pretty much all I have left for Guardians of the Sixth Gate. So September, hopefully in September, we will have the cover finished and I can get a pre-order started online through Amazon. So you guys can start pre-ordering the book in September. So you have a month before it comes out. So that is where I am writing wise. What about, let me think. Do I have anything else going on? I'm writing on the sequel. I'm hoping to have the sequel finished fairly soon. Right now, at the end of August, start of September, I am more than halfway into the first draft. So I've hit my stride. I'm into the big plot points. They're out there in the book. And now it's just like building the suspense to the end. So I'm almost done. So in September, at some point in September, I'm going to start kind of tinkering around with the outline for book 3 and nailing some final dates for editing work. So things are moving in this series pretty quickly. I'm not used to writing things this fast while I'm also working a day job. So things can change. So that's why I haven't released a final date or anything related to, very much to this sequel. I haven't even given out the title of it yet, although I do have the title of book 2 and book 3 picked. I just haven't released those because I don't want to build hype and buzz before I'm quite ready to release details. So you guys will see that hopefully very, very soon. So September should be a pretty big month, but again, I'm planning to still kind of take it slow. So I'm not going to do tons of writing during the week. I'm still sticking to my weekend schedule. Okay, so what about September? So I haven't done a very good job setting my goals in the last few months, my SMART goals. So if you remember from like videos ago, I try to set SMART goals related to at least 1 or 2 of those 3 areas, read, write, and run for the whole month. Something doesn't have to be a big goal. Usually it's not a big goal. And I use the SMART goal method to set them. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, like R is for, it's like related, it has to relevance, and T for timely. So that's what SMART stands for. So what you do is you set a goal, I want to do this, and then you go through those SMART standards and you set steps within. So that's what I've done for September because I haven't done it for a really long time. So and I don't typically share them. So this might be the first time in one of these monthly videos where I do kind of share the SMART goal. So I did pick 2 areas this month. I wanted to focus on some writing things, and I also wanted to focus on my own self-care and mental health. So those are my goals for writing. My goal is kind of 2-part. I want to develop a book launch plan for Guardians of the Sixth Gate, and I want to develop like a book, I'm calling it buzz building plan for the sequel, because that is wrapping up and getting ready, hopefully, to start getting pushed out some information. So once I finish the draft, I will have a better idea what the scaling will be for like the publication plan. So I'm hoping that I can start figuring that out in September. So that's the writing goal, is to do those two things. And I have the 3 ways that I'm expecting to achieve the goal. So I'm going to utilize my betas and all of you guys to help me push out information. So I might be putting out all calls for things like who would like to post, like do a feature post on their Instagram to help me promote the book, or maybe participating in some other like fun goodies, or maybe like a live stream, something where I could connect with you guys. I'm also focusing on posting on Instagram and TikTok, posting the big things in big ways and not posting the big things every day, because I'm getting a little fatigued trying to do daily like social media posts. I'm finding that to be kind of difficult. So rather than trying to do big things every single day, I'm focusing on putting effort into big things so that they're polished, and maybe not posting every day, but to post the important things often enough that I can, and maybe reposting them. So I'm focusing on that and setting attainable work hours. Like I said about writing earlier, Saturdays and Sundays are fantastic. So those are my set work hours for writing. Anything more I get between that, I'm doing based on feel. So if I feel really up to it on like a Thursday night, I will write a little bit, but I'm not forcing myself to. And I'm setting intentional time Saturdays and Sundays just for writing. So that's the goal for writing. And I'll go through the SMART a little bit. I'm doing the launch plan and book buzz plan, and I'm gonna measure that based on like some of my social media connections. There's a lot of ways I'm gonna end up measuring that than just that. So I'm planning posts well ahead of time. I'm trying to scale out the whole month, and I'm hoping that that doing this for the month of September will lead to better sale outcomes for Guardians of the Sixth Gate. Hopefully more connections with you guys online. I love to connect with readers, and hopefully it will up the trajectory for the sequel once I get more information and we start that in the future. So that is my writing goal. So my second goal for the month of September is my self-care goal, which is to take time each week for at least one self-care activity, at least one, something intentional. And 3 ways I'm going to do that is to plan time a week out. So I'm going to plan a week in advance for that activity. I'm also going to make sure I have a plan for Finn. That way I'm not interrupted or juggling more things at once. I want it to be especially for me. And that was one of my other steps, was being intentional, unplug and commit to it. So that's why Finn needs to have his own little plan, so that just like you can hear right now, I don't have to worry about interruptions. So that's pretty much everything for the month of August. So it may not have been the best. It was definitely like a month of recovery for me mentally, and I'm really pleased with everything I did. And I've actually learned a ton from that, like how important it is for me, especially to do a better job of setting my writing schedule and being kind of intentional about that, so I'm not burning out, because it is my favorite thing to do, which is why it's one of my three things, even though it is kind of a work thing now for me. I love writing stories. It's such a part of who I am. Actually, let me grab this real quick. I printed this off. Did not plan to do this, but I printed this off. I found it on Canva. It's a freebie, and it says reading is like breathing in and writing is breathing out. And I printed that because it's exactly what I feel about writing. So for me, writing is like soulful. It's a way that I express myself. And when I'm not healthy about the hours that I'm spent doing it, and it starts to feel like a struggle, then that's a problem for me, because it's part of my self-care is sitting down and writing stories. So I've learned a lot through August, and I'm taking so much of that into September. Just like I said, I'm going to continue to be more intentional with my time, making sure that I set time for myself, I already have some pretty nice and pretty cool self-care things in store for the next few months. I have some things already scheduled, which I'm super excited about. One of them, starting right now, after I get off this video, I'm going to do some online shopping for myself because I've wanted to get rid of some of my old tops. They're not in, well, I was gonna say they're not in bad shape, but some of them are old enough now that they don't fit like they're supposed to anymore. So maybe they are in bad shape, but I'm gonna take some time, do some shopping, some retail therapy, and yeah, that'll kick off September for me. So I'm super excited about it. Thank you for continuing to watch these wrap-up videos every month, and give me a like, drop a comment in the below, send me a comment, tell me what kind of things do you do for self-care, what kind of activities do you do for self-care. Give me maybe some activities that I could throw into the mix for September. And if you are working on anything writing wise or reading, let me know about that also. But otherwise, thank you guys so much. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.